Not to be repetitive, but today we will continue yesterday's assignment, and we're still multiplying, but we are multiplying special products that are easy to recognize and easy to do. So for example, if we're multiplying x plus 3 times x plus 3, what do you notice about those two factors? They're the same. They're exactly alike. Well, let's see what happens when you do two things that are exactly alike. So let's FOIL it. You can always FOIL these guys. If you never learn these special tricks, it is fine. You can always FOIL if it's a binomial times binomial. But if we were to FOIL, so we get, first terms, outer terms is 3x, inner terms is another 3x, and then of course last terms is 9. So that would end up being x squared plus 6x plus 9. Do you see a pattern between this and this? So you've got your first term is x squared, your last term is 9. That's easy. How did I get this 6x? You can either say you added the 3 plus 3 or doubled the 3. And that'll work every time if they're exactly the same. And notice they were both pluses, so everything in here is pluses. So if I were to give you then x minus 5, x minus 5, and you go, wait a minute, those are exactly the same. So the first term's going to be x squared, the last term's going to be 25. What's the middle term going to be? You're going to add the negative 5 and the negative 5 to get yourself a negative 10. You notice these were negative, so this would be, since you're adding a negative 5 to a negative 5, you get a negative 10. So if you see that pattern, let's do it in unison. What? I was thinking maybe you could get your sneezes together. It'd be fun. 1, 2, 3, sneeze.
In unison?
That's what I meant. What did I say?
You said it, but I didn't know what that meant.
Oh. Unison means all together now. Are you a musical person?
No.
Okay, that's why you don't know that term. And that's okay. All right, let's look at x minus 5x plus 5. Are these exactly the same? No, but what is the relationship? They're opposite from one another. One's an addition, one's a subtraction. Other than that, they're the same. So watch what happens with this kind of product. So let's FOIL it to see what happens. So I get x squared. Outer term is a positive 5x. Inner terms is a negative 5x. And of course, last terms, this is going to be a negative 5 times 5, so that's going to be a negative 25. Looky here. They cancel out. Your middle two terms cancel out, and you'll just be left with x squared minus 25. And that will happen every time you have what they call a conjugate pair. You'll learn that term conjugate when you get into Algebra 2, but whenever you have two binomials that are almost alike except they're opposite from one another, the middle two terms are always going to cancel out. So, with that in mind, if I gave you x minus 3, x plus 3, without FOILing, what would my answer be? First terms, outer and inner are going to cancel. Last term, there you go. Again, if you don't know these, it's okay. You can always FOIL. But usually what happens is kids will FOIL and go, oh, I knew that. I should have done that from the beginning. And the more you do it, the more you'll pick these up. All right. Now, what if it's written like this? A plus B, the whole thing squared. Do you think I can just go a squared plus b squared? That's a good question. Let's try it. Let's try it with numbers. If I have 2 plus 3 squared, I'm just going to put numbers in for everything. That would be, we have to do parentheses first, right? So that would be 5 squared, which would be 25. So the answer to this is 25. Would you agree with me? Okay, let's see if it's the same. If I go 2 squared plus 3 squared. That would be 4 plus 9. Ooh, that's only 13. So you can't do it that way. That's because this whole thing is being multiplied by itself. So what that really means is A plus B times A plus B. That's really what it means. The whole thing times itself. Oh, well now I see it's a special product. Those are exactly the same. And so the first term, of course, is going to be A squared. The last term is going to be B squared. And if you can FOIL it, or recognize that the inners will be AB, the outers will be another AB. So how many ABs do I have? 2. So I have 2 ABs. You can just FOIL that if you'd like, that's fine. So the same with the second one. And if I have A minus B, the whole thing squared, I cannot say A squared minus B squared. Ain't gonna happen, ain't gonna work. So instead, that means that thing twice. So you can FOIL at that point, or recognize it as, oh, that's the same thing times itself. So the first term is A squared, last term is going to be B squared. It's going to be a minus because this is a negative AB and another negative AB. So that's negative 2 ABs. So as you might guess, since I've already pointed it out, the number one mistake kids make, well, people in general make, when squaring a binomial is they try to go A squared plus B squared. And then you totally miss the middle term. It just doesn't work. So watch that when you're working those kind of problems. All right, so now that we know those patterns, let's try a few. So this one is the whole thing squared, right? I'm going to give you a minute. Once you work those 3, I'm going to pause this, help me remember to. So first 2 look good. This person actually FOILed it and ended up with, here we are, x squared plus 6x plus 9. I can't remember who came up, but no, Grace came up for this one. And she kind of looked at it and said, okay, she got this right off the bat by saying, inner terms a negative 4yxy, outer terms another negative 4xy, so 2 of those would be negative 8xy. All right, so down here we're going to write this twice. So talk to me, what's first term? R squared. The outer terms are going to be 9RS and another 9RS. So how many 9RSs do we have? 18 RSs. And then, of course, last term, ooh, this is going to be tricky. 9S times 9S would be what? 81, and then S squared. Makes sense? All right. Now other pattern we looked at was when they look almost alike, except notice one is positive and one is negative. This is called a conjugate pair. I'm going to just give you a heads up. You'll learn that in algebra too, but it's called a conjugate pair, meaning it's exactly the same. It's a pair of binomials, and they're exactly the same except one is positive and one's negative. And when that happens, what's your outer and inner? What happens to your outer and inner? They cancel. But if you don't see that, that's fine. Just FOIL it. Just FOIL it. So A times A is going to be A squared. Outer term is going to be negative AB. Inner term is going to be a positive AB. Last term will be a positive B times a negative B, which would be a negative B squared. And then you'll discover, oh, wait a minute, these will cancel each other out. And so you'll end up with A squared minus B squared. So if you need to keep foiling, keep foiling. If you see the patterns, do the patterns. Another one on this page? No. All right, so conjugate pair. One's plus, one's minus. So for those of you who want to foil, go on and foil. Give you a minute to do those last two. Yes.
Are you foiling, or are you just jumping right to the answer? No, foiling. Okay. Then we're just going to, so the outer terms would be 3x times negative y. Yeah, the middle one's well. And then we still have the last two. Good. And it's a left page. So now you see, oh wait a minute, all those things cancel. I didn't need to do them. Right. Perfect. And what do we want for us? They're both right. Well, I can't do that. You are. Sorry. Okay, so let's foil that. Come on, Ben. Oh, sweet. Yeah. Oh, you're right. It says in my drawer for a long time. Absolutely. Here you go. Thank you. You're welcome, huh? Here, I'll grab you. I'll give you a pencil. Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. So good, doing great. Yep, they're all wonderful. So again, if you want to foil them, you'll find out that the inner and outer cancel. If you choose not to, if you see the pattern, you can just write first term minus the last term. Okay. All right. Pretty simple stuff. Let's get on to it. It's not very many. Like I said, today's going to be a very easy, low
because you only have these right here, because you've already done the top ones. I would suggest, for those of you, there were a couple of you who didn't finish yesterday's, and so you didn't finish some of these. I would suggest that you finish those. Let's go in and practice, since you're going to have plenty of time to do both. Finish up what you didn't finish yesterday, and if you want to bring that up to me, I'll change your calendar. I'm going to give you full credit for that. Just do it now, and then do the rest of them. And again, a good day. Several of you have some missing assignments. Good day to get in there and get them done. Okay. And I don't know if you remember from when I was here before, but this chair's for you. And it goes right here beside me. So if you have any questions at all, come see me. It's what I paid for. Okay? Yes, you may. You may listen to music. Yes. She's still down there. Here, down here. She knows how to do this stuff. I will send her a quick email for you to come in. Okay. You need to use one of your tags, one of your passes.
Would it be okay to know through OneNote, just like
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, if any of y'all want to do OneNote your homework on your OneNote, just right beside the page, you're welcome to do that. And I can just come around and look at your computer tomorrow. You think you need a pass? Will she want a pass?
I have a Panther sticker.
Okay. I'll send her on here. You too.